Good afternoon, John.
I am John the Divine, and I have come to welcome all of you today into this very special meeting. That all of you are here for a very special reason. As you know, the universe very carefully puts together the interactions and connections you make with other people, and this is a very special group of people today. So welcome, and welcome to being here, and I'm glad to meet all of you. I heard you introduce yourself a moment ago, and so I want to welcome the newcomers, tell you how pleased we are to have you here. And I have told Marilyn that we would be open to questions to start out with this afternoon. So if anyone came with a question or two, we would be most glad to help you out with that the best we can.
Harold, you might want to ask John the question you asked me. Remember?
What question did you ask, Matt?
Well, John, at this time there are many Indian youth who are taking their lives, and one just recently, not very far from here, from Auburn, his name was Jamie Dennis, and we're trying to figure out what we can do to encourage them and make them realize that their life is so important and they need a chance to do something for themselves and their people.
This is a conundrum not only with your people, Arnold. This is also happening in Japan. Are you aware of that? The teenagers and youth of Japan have gone out in bands and committed group suicide together. It's very disheartening, very disappointing, and very sad. They are part of a group that have incarnated into this life at this point in time to bring to those around them an awareness. I cannot speak for every individual person that has been in this predicament or has decided this choice, because each person has their own path, and in some cases it was their time to move on in their reincarnating, and it was not time to continue, and it was a time for them to bow out of what they had accomplished at this point. So sometimes when it looks like a tragedy, there are bigger circumstances involved. So many people have been disheartened by some of the real huge tragedies, such as 9/11 and the tsunami in Japan and the earthquakes and the other devastation of water and land movements that have killed many people. Mostly what's happened in this case is that their timing was that it was their exit from this human form, and they agreed to leave in this particular way to provide a wake-up call to those around to see that there is more to life and that the spirit lives on, and that many times these people that have passed over through these traumatic experiences have come back and contacted their relatives and loved ones. In fact, this is how Marilyn came to be a medium. Her aunt committed suicide because her husband had died of cancer and she could not handle and bear living without him. He was beckoning her to join him. And she, after a couple years, decided from all her despair and grief that that was probably the best thing for her to do, and she joined him, and through Marilyn's church bringing up, Marilyn was totally distraught because she was the only family member that ever treated Marilyn pleasantly, lovingly, and delightfully, and included her as a real person. So Marilyn was very, very attached to her aunt, and her only stable connection was no longer with her. And as her aunt was on the other side and able to regain her spiritual connection of putting her pieces of spirit back into her wholeness, was able to connect with Marilyn. She thought it was a dream, but it was really a vision and was reality. Marilyn was not able to recognize her in her spiritual form, as she did not rearrange and put herself back together in her older state of being. She came back in her younger, youthful vitality. But her husband always had very similar features, and so she sent her husband, or Marilyn's uncle, to meet Marilyn in spirit and he was to bring Marilyn to her so Marilyn would recognize her and realize that was who I was, that she was her aunt. It was her aunt visiting, ready to talk with her and explain what happens on the other side. In telling Marilyn what happened because of her suicide, Marilyn was able to get a better understanding of how some of the dynamics of this come together. One of the major things her aunt shared with her was she was sorry she did it, not because she went to hell, because there is no hell, but it is a very deep, dark area to be separated from God. And it can feel that way if your consciousness is very, very fearful. And this has happened to many people, that they are so disconnected from a loving God that it feels very uncomfortable and can be very terrifying, in fact. However, her space of consciousness was not that severe. But she was sorry she had done it because it did affect her spiritual growth, and that she would have to reincarnate and live that life again and go through those experiences she had not completed. So it was a matter of having to do it over, kind of like flunking third grade. You had to do the third grade over. And she was not thrilled that she was going to have to come back and experiencing some of the childhood traumas and dramas to get herself through them into a solution of love and handling it in healthier ways so she'd be ready to move on her path. So it was really not a bad thing, but it was not for the best for her spiritual growth and continuing forward. It was kind of like a detour along the way. So this is happening to many of those that are have gone into the other side through suicide. If they were in total despair and fear and feeling like there was no hope, if there was a lot of hopelessness and helplessness, they were separated from the love inside their heart, they will need to come back and continue their spiritual path at the consciousness of which they're at. However, some of these are just, it's part of their moving on in this particular unique time of 2012, now just behind us, which you will hear more about shortly. So it's a matter of everybody having a different plan or blueprint that they're following for their own spiritual growth. Those that have to do it over will return not to this planet, but will go to another third dimensional realm, which will seem like Earth, and they will not really be aware that it is not any different than what they are used to, because the environment will continue third dimensional type of culture and activities and lessons to be learned. The good and the bad, the right and the wrong, the criticisms and the judgments, all the different things that conflict and come in and create havoc in our lives, the crisis and turmoil, and they will continue to learn how to overcome them in a loving attitude and presence and moving into the loving realm of a higher consciousness. And so they are still on their path, not as lost. You never are lost. Everyone comes into the oneness of God in their own time and journey of what is their lessons. Some of the people, or quite a few of the people on earth at this point, are actually old souls. And you in this room today would not be here if you were not an old soul, ready to see the light at the end of the tunnel. You have had so many past experiences in other times that's why past life regressions are so helpful to sometimes bring those into current understanding of how they affected this life and the learnings that you learned from those that helped you to move forward to where you are today. So learning more about yourself and where you come from and who you are is very important. You see, nothing is ever lost. Nothing is ever going to be a tragedy where no one has another chance. You always can come back and continue on your path. However, the people in this room today are so far down the path that you have come to hear what you might say, they aren't final instructions, but some of the ones close to the end of the book, you might say, because you have overcome many, many traumas. In the Amazing Grace song, there is a verse that talks about, we've been there 10,000 years. Yes, your lifetimes have been many, many. And you keep coming back until you get it right. Some people have equated it to going to school. You got to do the lesson over until you learn the solution, till you have the paper correct and your teacher accepts it and passes you on to the next stage. So that's kind of what's going on. Some people call it, your past is karma. It's really the cause and effect. What has been in your cause that has created the effects that have caused your difficulties in life. To go back and find those causes and to send forgiveness, love, compassion, and understanding to the situations or the people that helped you to have that predicament so that you can heal it. And when you're doing that, you're healing yourself. Because we're all one in consciousness, all one in the Spirit of God. There is only one Spirit, and that is the presence of God. And are there more questions? And then I will move into that topic today.
John,
Yes.
I don't have a blueprint, as you speak of, and I have had a tough time trying to figure out my path.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what in my past has traumatized me to be where I'm at, and to have a tough time with relationships.
Very good question. It is a universal question. And often can be answered with individual help, Rod, if you are looking for specific answers. I would like to share in a bigger, broader way some things you might want to address. Whatever the trauma or drama is in your lifetime can be brought up into your awarenesses. Do you ever meditate?
No.
I would suggest this is a way to open the door and to get in touch with the unknown, the unseen, and the messages that are below the surface. It mentioned at the end of that song that you would have blinders and now you can see, and you see through meditation. It's taking off the earplugs out of the ears so you can hear the silent voice inside when you're meditating. And that voice is the voice of God. That voice is your guidance system. That voice brings the answers. That voice gives you guidance and feelings. So feelings are your feedback. That's your biofeedback system, your own personal one, to know if you're on track or not. When you get into your meditation, you clear your mind of all thoughts so that you are in the stillness. Now that can take some practice. And if you are such a beginner, you might want to join a meditation group. You might want to join a study group that meets here, we're learning how, in this group, more spiritual, metaphysical tools, and do meditations each week in support. When you're in a group setting, meditations seem to be easier because there's more energy to support your listening to that silent voice and hearing it. It seems to magnify it when you're in a group. So it's a wonderful way to start, is to maybe have some group participation when you try that. And as you're starting to listen to what's inside, it might take a few, as Mac said, it took him, I believe, 30 years. Was that right, Mac? Before you finally really got in touch with the answers?
I don't know, it was a long time, John.
And so it takes time for some people can do it very quickly. The quicker means the more open-minded you are to finding out and listening to whatever comes. Marilyn was very much into the depths of despair, and she just laid down and said, God, whatever you have to tell me, I'm all ears. Just send it to me. And she laid there and listened, and very quickly the messages started coming because she had absolutely no resistance. She was in such dire straits, she needed information she couldn't get otherwise. It actually was not helping her, but causing more difficulties. And the answers from within, and they are within you, will brighten your life and guide you out of your dilemmas. And I would suggest that when you go to sleep at night, to ask in a meditative state. Just before you doze off is a meditative state, and just before you wake up in the morning is a meditative state. Your body and your mind are not connected, and you are more open and receptive in a spiritual frame of consciousness. Your body actually takes away the connection. As soon as you step on the ground and getting out of bed in the morning, you reconnect as a human, and the messages do not come through as easily. So I would suggest asking your questions at night and waking up in the morning, and asking God to, before you are really quite awake, to make that knowing inside very clear, loud, and strong, so you can't miss it, knowing and trusting it will be there for you. If you are having difficulties and need further assistance, readings are very helpful for specifics. Also, spiritual counseling to help you have tools to move along the path to acquire the goals you're trying to achieve and accomplish what you would like to create in your life. The other thing to remember about relationships, and this is a crucial step that everybody needs to learn. You're not the only one. And it is very much what Marilyn's new book is about. Learning to release the ego in a relationship is very tough work. And if somebody is giving you not doing what you think they should be doing or saying things that are unhappy to you, the quick and easy answer is to realize they're your mirror. They are providing exactly that guidance that you're looking for, what you need to change within you. So you are sending out what you don't want. And that, of course, is going to affect your relationship. So if you're sending out fear from a wounded past, chaos or crisis that's going on in your life, or a childhood that was very distraught and fearful, difficulties for various reasons, you're sending that out. And this is your opportunity in a spiritual way to put love and replace it with the love of your heart growing into who you are. And now, as you change that, and with the help and support of spiritual tools, learning and growing in more physical understanding, metaphysical understanding, you can then change what you're sending out to the love of who you are. So what's happening at this point, in a very short version, is human beings have been so conditioned to send out conditional love, and then I'll do this for you and you do this for me, and then we love each other. And that's how most people see love. However, real love is what you're moving into at the final stages of your journey into fifth dimension. So learning how to send out unconditional love that does not come from the ego, aging God out is the ego. There's no God or love in it. But as you send out the true love of who you are instead, that love will come back in a relationship that can grow and expand and be a very rewarding, blissful, loving, and a relationship that will reflect back the love to you of who you are. And that relationship is what you will be experiencing in fifth dimension. So you are right on the cusp of going into that grace of God in the fifth dimension, which I will be talking about in a few moments. So you are obviously waking up and realizing, okay, now is the time to change the last things I need to inside of me to go and move into that graceful, wonderful, loving place of unconditional love, because that's what I truly want, and that's what I truly am. That is just a short version of what's going on. Rod, does that answer some questions?
John, kind of, but not really.
Well, as you learn more metaphysical terms, as you learn more metaphysical background and understanding of how you work as a spiritual being, it will become not just up in your head knowledge, but it actually becomes part of your heart experience. And learning to experience love is very much what this earth experience is about, is to learn to be open to letting the love in and letting that love flow through us to others. Then our relationships are all one in the Spirit of God. And so Marilyn I've asked her to print off something that will help you, Rod, with that. So before everyone leaves today, I had her print this off at Christmas time. Jesus had her put this on paper. So this is where she has her name on it, but it really comes from the most wonderful, loving source possible to help remind all of you how to experience that love in your life. And this is what I'd like to segue into my talk before are there any more questions? Thank you for asking them. You are on a wonderful path, Rod, and as you become more open-minded, this will start to make sense to you, and you will start to see, you will be finding yourself saying, oh, I get it now, I understand that, oh, okay. Things will start to be, you will get those aha moments, as Oprah calls them. And so you are being open, you're opening your ears, you're opening your eyes, and that's when the Bible, when it says, those that hear will hear, and those that see will see. And you are at that stage. I commend you and give you a great applaud to coming into the courage to do that. Have been following the channelings, and for your information, they are available on the internet on YouTube. For the last several years, Marilyn has been giving information and tools and understanding to move through and ascend into this grace of God, which Elvis talked about, and into the fifth dimension, which is another way to describe it, into the presence of God, which is some way people how they also talk about it, so that you are moving out of the past, hurts and pains, into the future. We do not talk about it as the future. You create the future from the now. So if your mind is in the fear of the future or in the past problems and you keep mulling them over and over in your mind, you are not in reality. And today we're talking about moving out of the illusion. All there is love. All there is God. God's love, unconditional love, that's all there has ever been. You chose in a human form to come and experience love. Now, to experience love means there has to be a duality, a conflict, an opportunity to be able to choose one from another of what's happening. You see, in grace, in the fifth dimension, where all is one and there's only loving cooperation with everybody in a caring way, how can you grow? You people have all taken the choice of coming to Earth and experiencing growing into a higher consciousness of love. And you are all to be commended. This is the most courageous school in the planets, to be able to come and actually learn how to feel and experience love. And the people around you have been your teachers. So when the things go poorly, you want to send forgiveness and love to them. No matter how desperate the situation, they agreed to come and play the part so you could change from reacting in fear, feeling wounded, feeling threatened, feeling the loss of, feeling the lack of, anything that keeps you in a lower dimension. They are giving you the opportunity to send from your heart Open up your heart, that divine spark which is within. Let it fill you. We have done several exercises over the years in helping you to grow that love inside so it can move through you and out from you to others. And as you send that love out to others, you change the surrounding around you. You create your own reality. This is not an easy lesson. Marilyn had the experience a couple of days ago of her daughter crying, calling on the phone from work, in despair. And what it amounted to is she is going through her lessons of learning not to be a victim at work, how to stand up and speak her truth and stand up and be assertive and be in her own powerful space where she doesn't hurt anybody, but she just holds her own and handles it in an empowering way. So you see, as you grow out of your fear, you learn to empower yourself, and she's going through those growing pains, and her office mates are helping her. And as she was expressing and sharing her pains and learning how to handle it from a more loving way of being reasonable and rational and taking the old emotion out of it and seeing how she could move forward in her power, she is learning her lessons that she came to learn. And you are doing the same thing. So as you have those moments, and your meditations will help you resolve many of those issues. So meditation or calling someone, a spiritual counselor that can help you is very helpful at certain times when you can't seem to see it for yourself or get the answers yourself. So it's important to have spiritual support so you understand it's not that you're a bad person, it's not that you are powerless, you just need to how to connect to the power that's within you. It's like having a toaster on the counter. The toaster will toast toast, and you can put the bread in the toaster and you can wait forever. But if you plug the cord into the electricity, it will actually connect to the power necessary to toast it. May I suggest your meditations are connecting the cord to the power that runs the electricity through the walls of your house from the power plant, and that's what God is your electrical connection. That's the power that will make the toast. So in not changing you, you're not going to get toast. You have to plug into the power, and then you're no longer powerless. As you plug into the power that's already there, it's just a matter of choosing to say, this is a choice that you need to make. I choose to surrender to the love of God, to be the guidance in my life and the director of my actions. And as you wake up each morning, pray for God to fill your thoughts, words, and actions for the day. And as you go through the day, you are going to be sending love to those around you because you will think loving thoughts, you will say loving terms of endearment, and you will act in loving and caring ways for those around you. Now, so many of you in this room have been working on that for some time and have learned through various spiritual study groups and metaphysical classes of how to help support you in those moves of changing to do that. You may also ask God to help you with everything you need to do that day, because when you try to do it by yourself, you're using your ego. And that's when your life falls apart, because you are powerless by yourself. You do need to plug into the electrical outlet. And so when you say, God, there isn't anything you and I together can't handle today, then you have connected into the power of God and just look at the better outcome for your day. Now you are not doing it alone. You are not forcing solutions. You are not looking at how other people are supposed to be. It's what can you contribute to the situation. You're no longer playing the victim. You're no longer saying, poor me, I'm helpless, I'm hopeless, and the suicidal thoughts can come in at a very deep level. You are now rising into saying, I have love inside of me that flows through me, and I can share that electrical love. If you want to think of it as electricity, it's a power greater than you are. Share it with others. Pass it around. Spread the love. And you will see how it manifests in your life and will come back to you tenfold. Now, most of you in this room are doing that. And you know how to change those fearful things into seeing them from a higher point of view as to what is the lesson in this. How can I learn from this experience so that I can handle it from not being reactive out of fear, but how can I be proactive and respond in love? Now, as you do this, your emotions are going to change. And people do not understand emotions. Emotions are the energy inside of you, but there is, you might say, a scale from a very low vibration, and a vibration of that low energy is fear and shame. And as you move up that emotional scale, you might find resentments and anger and guilt, despair, upset, worry. And as you move higher and higher, you will find relief in your emotions. The point is, you people are working on the level of going into higher loving emotions on the scale. As you raise your energy, as you plug into that electricity and send that love out, you're moving into open-mindedness, accepting others just the way they are, because they're having their lessons too. Or they're there to teach you. They're your teachers. So you see them from a different point of view. They're not hurting you, they're helping you. So as you move higher and you make yourself happy, it's not someone else making you happy. You're happy because you're there providing for the other person a way that's helping them to grow and be a better person. Your energy is now sending love to them. You're not projecting your fear and that's coming back to you. You're now projecting love, and when the love comes back, it feels good. You are a good person. You have always been a good person, but your energy has to move into that range, that emotional range of higher vibrating energy. And as you move up higher and higher into the loving thoughts and feelings and actions that you are now contributing to others, you will move into the grace of God, and that bliss and ecstasy can be amazing, and that's what you're moving into. That's what the amazing grace is about. That's what ascension is about. You're ascending out of the lower depths of your emotions. Your feelings are your feedback system. Are you feeling down today? Well, why? Go out and help somebody. You're going to feel so much better. Wow, you don't have to stay feeling in the depths of despair. You know, in the old days, if a woman was down in the dumps, they'd tell her to go buy a new hat. Whatever makes you feel happy, that brings comfort and beliefs and truth to your life and pleasure into your life, you have to fill your own cup before you can share it with others. It says in the 23rd Psalm, my cup runneth over. So many of you in the past, and I think most of you have learned this lesson, to fill yourself up with love so it overflows and you're sharing from your abundance. And as you do that, the happiness will come. You make yourself happy. There is no soulmate out there that is going to complete you. That was a sad, sad message in a movie a while back. I can't think of his name now, but the fellow in the movie told Renee Zellweger, you complete me. No, God completes you. That's been the problem of human mankind, looking for other people outside of yourself to complete you. As you move into your heart, as you meditate, as you learn to give from your love inside to others, you complete yourself with God's love, and you become a whole person. Each little part of the negative, denser energy that you're feeling, whatever guilt or worry you have, despair, frustration, whatever it is, as you change that into a higher feeling, then you will come into the happiness. You will come into feeling better about yourself. You will feel complete because You cannot be whole until you identify those darker energies and transform them into the light of love. It is like you have walked into a dark room and you turn on the light. Where's the darkness? It disappears. Fear is an illusion. It's like the little child going to bed at night and says, "But Daddy, there's a boogeyman under my bed." And you turn on the light for the little child and you show them, there's no boogeyman under the bed. It never has been. The light dispels the darkness. And that's what you're doing in your life. You're getting rid of the boogeyman. And you're putting the light on it because you do not want to stay in the dark, because that's the illusion of third dimension. And you people have left that. The planet has left third dimension. And the reason you're here today is you are trying to move even further and closer into fifth dimension. And as we turn on that light in that room, it's forcing your boogeyman problems to come up and hit you in the face so you can turn the light on them. Without identifying the bad in you and the good in you, that's you, the wholeness of you. You love yourself into wholeness. Those parts you don't want to love, and you bury and you hide inside and you are in denial about, or you blame and project them onto your, oh, that person is terrible, you know what they did, blah, 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 blah. No, they're not terrible. They're loving, wonderful children of God. Why are you picturing that? What in you is sending that image out? So we are saying, turn on the light, see a new picture. See those people that the love is in their hearts also. See them as the Christ in them, that the Christ in you, the love, unconditional love in you is also in them. You are all children of a loving God, a loving Spirit. They're just acting out a part for you to transform the darkness into the light. It's that simple. And as you do that, you start to realize what a lesson you have gained. That helped bring your emotions up into a higher consciousness. And that's ascension. As you move higher and higher in consciousness, higher in different stages of loving feelings within yourself, you will lose the feeling of lack. I don't have enough money. Financial insecurity will leave. You will lose the idea of feeling lonely. You won't be lonely. You don't have to look for someone to completely, because God's always been in your heart. You've never been alone. Your angels are around you constantly. Your guides have been setting up your connections with other people. There are places you need to be, things you need to hear, books that fall in your lap that you need to read. Those things will happen because as you move up into higher consciousness, they're there making sure it happens. And to trust the Spirit is leading you down the path so you can move into higher consciousness, higher and higher, so that there is a heaven on earth. And when we said the Lord's Prayer earlier this afternoon, that's what you said, bringing heaven to earth. And as you become loving, unconditional human beings, you are spreading love on earth. You are spreading the good news just by your changing energy, by plugging that cord of the toaster into the electrical socket and connecting to God. Now you can share that loving energy just by your presence. And you join the presence of God. And you're no longer in the past. It will dissipate. It's no longer threatening you. It's no longer ruminating in your head to cause you despair or react it from, because that's how it happened before, it's going to happen that way next time. No. You now can stop and say, I choose to send love to this situation. I am not going to recreate the problems I had in the past. I am going to change my life. You see, the presence of God is right now. God is in this room right now. Right now you have everything you need. Everything that you have ever thought about is taken care of right now. You are safe. You're protected. Nothing can harm you. You see, being in the presence of God is the safest place to be. So the more open you are to that love, the happier and safer you will be, and the more abundance can come into your life. It's a ratio. The more open you are to God, the more prosperity you will receive. It's already in front of your eyes. I'm saying to take the blinders off your eyes and see the God in you and around you. Now, we said that we wanted to share about the Trinity because so many churches have purported this in so many ways. As I said, anything that is not of God is an illusion. It's not real. And society and religions and schools, everything, they make you look outside for your self-esteem. You know, they get validations, you get awards, you get salaries. You know, people get more money if they're worth more. You know, ball players are outlandishly rewarded for hitting a ball. You know, and that's not where your real essence is. Your real essence is inside. And to claim that, to claim who you are as a child of God. Now, the Trinity is within you. And churches have said, oh, the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, or they have other terms, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Whatever terms they've used. And they have you look outside for this Trinity. I'm here to say the Trinity is within. Don't look other places for God. God is within you. The masculine energy, which is in your terms, not really masculine, but that energy you call masculine in God, is within you. And the feminine energy that you call Holy or Heavenly Mother is within you. And when those energies come together, they create. You are a creator. The energy is inside of you to create a wonderful, blissful, ecstatic, wonderful experience of God, of goodness, love, appreciation, blissfulness. One of the best comments ever made was by Joseph Campbell when he said, follow your bliss. That's God. That's the God within you. And you can bring your energy together and create from your talents. Let that energy, creative energy in you, create around you. Create a healthy, heavenly environment of people that support you in loving ways. You can create that. You can create through your artistic talents, express through your writing or being an actor or whatever different talents that are too busy, you're too busy to do today. Stop and say, oh, I had a hobby when I was a child, and I never have been able to get around to it again. There's that around to it some of you know about. And I'm going to stop today and give myself some time to create. Now maybe it's scrapbooking, maybe it's piano playing, maybe it's, in Mac's case, the harmonica. But whatever works for you. You know why? That's God's energy flowing through you. You've created that and you express it out to others to see, to hear, to write it and let others read it. You're sharing who you are, and that energy is coming out. And whenever people are around you, they feel that loving energy that's being expressed. You're expressing love through your words. You're expressing love through your behaviors. Have you ever heard that actions speak louder than words? That's who you will become. Marilyn was pretty dense about that at one point. She was so numb and not being able to take her blinders off for so long because she was in such fear. And this person was just acting in very kind, caring ways, very tolerant, very considerate, very helpful. And one day she said, but he doesn't say he loves me. And all of a sudden she got it. Actions speak louder than words. What are your actions? What are your words? What is thinking in your head today? Is it loving thoughts? Is it caring thoughts? How can you be helpful? Instead of being angry at somebody, they're just growing up like you. We're all going through the stages of learning how not to be immature into growing into maturity. That's all it is. People are growing up, and some people grow faster and quicker than others. Give them some space. Give them some tolerance. Send them some love so it's easier for them to grow. You don't have to get in the way and tell them how terrible they are, or how they screwed this up, or what a rotten person they are because they didn't do such and such, or make them feel like they've lost because they didn't come in on top of the contest. One of the biggest lessons Marilyn had was taking a class, and that they went every morning for a run. She wasn't able to run because of her physical condition. She just kept walking, just kept walking. Well, of course, the first guy through the line, past the deadline, was everybody's clapping and everybody's cheering. And the next people walk across the finish line and everybody's cheering them on, yay, yay. And guess who was the last one? Marilyn. And they're laughing and cheering her on because she got across the finish line. She didn't have to be first to be cheered on. You don't have to be the top of the heap, the king of the mountain. All you have to do is just let that energy move through you and flow through you and help others. And you are king of the mountain. You've won the race. It's not who does it first. Everybody's going to appear at one point in time. We're all coming back together in the oneness of God, some just faster than others. It doesn't matter if some are moving on to a different planet to continue learning those lessons. You're here to say, I choose to move into that bliss of God, the 1,000 years of peace that's been described for thousands of years through many religions. I'm here to release anything that gets in the way of my continuing my trip into ascension, ascending into the presence of God, of good, of all things that are real. That the light is brilliant and bright and shiny, and is there for everybody. We're working together in cooperation. We care about each other. We're there to support each other. How can we add and provide help in this situation? How can we show somebody hope in a situation that seems hopeless? What are you doing to volunteer and help somebody? Are you out there helping I know somebody in this room that's helping animals. Somebody in this room helps senior citizens. Somebody in this room is obviously helping others at their jobs or other people in their homes. Those are experiencing the presence of God. You see, the people in this room, you already have applied and gotten here. But I think you needed a little wake-up call and a little push to make sure that you're on track and you're doing the right thing. I want you to see how far you've come. How far, maybe not in this lifetime that you're aware of, but you are able to do this today. That you're able to move into a higher consciousness. Fourth dimension is a transition from third to fifth. And we have moved out of third dimension on planet Earth, and the energy coming in, I've talked about this before, is stronger and stronger, and it's pushing out anything that's blocking the light at the end of the tunnel. So you bring it up in your life and your emotions, you send love to it, forgiveness, and all kinds of caring, compassion, and that changes you. You're becoming, you're creating your own child within of God. The mother and father energy in you is creating that God child that can blossom and bloom and be that mature, whole person. You are a holy person when all those blemishes are now lighted out because there is no more boogeyman. You are a holy person who will, in your presence, attract others who will say, gosh, You see how that person shines or bright, or that person glows? Man, that feels good to be around that person. Many people have walked in this house and said, this house feels good. So you can do that with your own surroundings and your own friendships and your own life. You will ascend into the love of God that is for everlasting, no beginning and no end. And I cannot begin to tell you the abundance and prosperity and the health that will happen in your lives. You cannot be ill in the presence of God. Only illness is in the illusion. The absence of God brings illness. So as you leave that illusion of darkness, the boogeyman, you move into the light. You are at the threshold. And as soon as you choose to continue to remove anything that is dark, tense, tension in your body, negative energy that you're thinking, any heart, emotional things that are distressful, so you're afraid to open up your heart, any walls and barriers you're trying to protect yourself. The reason the wall is there is keeping God out. So drop the walls of protection. You are the safest in God's love. You have no power with the wall up. You are not connected into the electricity. You have not put the plug in. So let the wall down and put the plug in. That's where your safety is. That's your wonderful way of saying, I am part of this wonderful spirit that always has been, and now I can take my blinders off, I can take my earplugs off, I can see the invisible. I experience it inside. It feels so good. And that sharing of your experience with others, how you've done it, is your treasure in your heart. Where your treasure is, your life will be. And your treasure is the wisdom that you gain from the changes you've made in your life that you can share with others. And it's not about what other people think of you. It's all about how you think of yourself and your relationship. Everything else will fall into place. And it'll be better than you could have planned if your best day. God's plans for you are open and never-ending, wonderful. I cannot begin to give you the words because you are not of this dimension. But open your arms, open your ears, open your eyes to the truth that you are becoming multidimensional creatures, and you are moving into a place where you will not only have the dimensions of fourth dimension where you are now, but you're moving closer and closer into being fifth dimensional, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth dimensional, some of you even up to 10th dimensional. It never ends. Your expanse into the universe is phenomenal. Your universe will expand and you will move into other universes and galaxies. You are not limited. God is limitless. Don't limit yourself one more minute. Know that you are loved. This has been a tremendous lesson, but you have gained your soul. And that's why Marilyn likes to listen to Elvis, and Martha is so excited. He sings from his soul, not just his heart. But you are in a soul-changing environment. Your soul was never lost. It was just darkened by calamity and trauma and fear. Turn the light on. You can do it right now. In your life, it is a choice. Open your arms to all good, to all God. And join me in the happy road of the presence of God being in you and around you forevermore. God bless you on your trip and journey, knowing that you are on the path and you are very close into making the jumps. Some of you might even be in fifth dimension if you are listening to this today. And we have Archangel Ariel coming in to help you just move along a little faster. So she will be here in just a moment. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your open ears and your open mind. The more open, the more God can come in. What a blessing you are to yourself today. You came and heard some truth. For Jesus is here with you always. Your loving brother has been with you forever and showed you you can ascend, just like he ascended. He overcame the jealousy and envy, the despair. He overcame the ugly parts of our emotions and ascended his emotions high into the realm of God and love, unconditional love. His spirit rose above it. That's ascension. He came to show us you can do it too. He is your example. If he can arise above those that crucified him, you can arise above those that are crucifying you and live forever in that spirit that never ends. Thank you for being here today. I wish you a very pleasant afternoon.
No, thank you for coming.
It is.